Okay. Brain fart. Okay, welcome back everybody to Out of Bounds. I'm your host, Danell Leyva, and listen to this music. I can't hear anything. I don't know how long it is. I need to figure out how to play it while I'm recording. I'll figure it out. Anyways, welcome back. Today is Tuesday. Well, technically it's Monday, but for you guys, it's Tuesday. So, oh. I don't know. No, you know what? Today I actually wanted to talk a little more about like just being at the gym and like growing up at the gym and how that was, because I was talking to a friend of mine who, trained there. I think he started training at the gym when I was about 13, 14, right? So he's known me for quite a while. He reminded me that not only were we almost always out of chalk, like almost always, we were all, wow. Here we go, doing a great job. Not only were we always pretty short on chalk, but like sometimes we wouldn't have any at all, like literally at all. And so what we would have to do, we would use the dust from under like the tumble track or under like the trampoline or literally just like from anywhere in the gym. We would just use the dust to like go on high bar or rings or whatever. And I remember sometimes we would kind of sneak to like the girl side and like steal some of their chalk, but not too much because they always kept it in blocks, right? So like if they were to keep it in like powder, it would have been a little easier. But like we had to like break little pieces off like little by little. And I'm sure a lot of the girls don't really know that, but I used to do that quite often. But the problem is that we literally didn't have any because we had, four events? Yeah, technically 4 events where we used a lot of chalk, high bar, P bars, rings, and palm horse for a lot of the people that used it. But dude, it was so funny, man. It was so funny because like chalk was literally like, it was like gold for us, even more. It was like diamonds. And I remember when we would when we would get that first shipment, and it was like summer camp, but for people that enjoyed summer camp, not for digress. But for real, we would get that big box of chalk, and we would like be like, no, like the girls, you can't have this. Like this is ours. And my mom would be like, it's literally for both of us. Everybody gets from this chalk. You guys sit your little booties down. I'm gonna divide the chalk. Oh, it was so funny, dude. It was so funny whenever somebody would like be using chalk, and if they would like sprinkle some chalk off the bucket, like onto the mat or whatever. Oh my God, it was the end of the world. It was the end of not like right now that we are currently in the end of the world. Figuratively, it was the end of the world. Right now, it's the factual end of the world. Anyways. But yeah, dude. But it was so funny because like, a lot of times growing up with people like that like you struggle with, like they really do become like your best friends. And I was like talking to him, and I actually at some point, when all of this is over, I would love to have him on, and like I want to talk to him about like his experiences and stuff like that, especially with like Ying, because I mean there's been a few of us that have had some pretty traumatic experiences, and I think that bond of like experiencing trauma together, I think has grown so much. I don't know if that's a thing or if it's something that I'm making up off the top of my head, but anyways, I remember, man, we would make fun of each other so much, we would like give each other so much shit, but then at the same time, like we would look out for each other. Man, a lot of times, let me fix this. I touched it willingly today. I didn't hit it on purpose. A lot of times, man, like we would get these just insane amount of work that like Ying would just be like, oh, like today you have to do like 5 routines on a high bar or whatever. Dude, as like elite gymnasts already, like as like gymnasts that we had like bigger skills that were starting to get a little bit dangerous, right? Dude, and so many times I remember we would wait around for him to like not be paying attention, and we would like calculate our time, and we would just be like, okay. And then we would like jump off and be like, oh, we did it, what? And then he would obviously not want to show that he wasn't paying attention to us. So what would he do instead? He'd just be like, yeah, I saw it. You did this and this. And we'd be like, oh, okay, cool. And then we'd turn around and like laugh to each other because obviously he wasn't paying attention. Dude, too much, man. Too many things that happened. And then like the conditioning that he would give sometimes that you were just like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? He would just give these long lists of conditioning, and it's like... One of the things that my friend and I were talking about was the fact that, albeit he is, Ying is definitely a major cause for a lot of like my mental health issues. Like a lot of like my anxiety, a lot of like my insecurities definitely comes from him. But then at the same time, just being in that environment and like struggling together with those people around you, I think it definitely created a level, like a certain threshold for like discipline and work ethic that like we have been able, like a lot of us have been able to like go on to like regular life and apply it to our regular life. And honestly, I'm very thankful for it. I'm very thankful because it really has helped me. Like the anxiety and insecurity hasn't really helped me, but everything else has. Let's say everything else has. This cat, do you hear him scratching at the door? Can we take care of the cat? Here's the culprit. This is him. His name is Wallace. It's not. His name is Wally. But that's not what we call him. We call him Chiquitín. Say hi. Are you going to let me do this podcast now? Yeah? Can you let me do it? Thank you. By the way, I'm going to start talking a little bit faster because I just realized that I forgot to charge the battery for my camera because that's just the kind of person that I am. It's great. It's fantastic. I love it. I love myself. Because of specifically that, I had to stop in the middle. You guys aren't going to know. It's just going to seem like it's a one continuous video with edits here and there, and that's just going to look like another one. But because of that, I had to stop, and now I can't remember what... Okay, okay. My notes. Ooh, okay. This is one thing that I do want to talk about. From personal experience, I do remember, this is something, by the way, again, it's going to get a little heavy towards the end because that's just kind of how I do. I guess this is towards the end. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out together. Probably not. Ying was the kind of person that, by the way, Ying is the name of my ex-stepdad. Anyways, he's the kind of person who is quite literally a narcissist, right? So essentially, he was always the kind of person that he didn't allow anybody to go off and compete for college because he said, like, he would always talk so much garbage about other college coaches, period, because he would say that the coaches who train the athletes from when they were a kid until they're of age to go to college are the ones who do the real work. And then after that, the college coaches, they just take all your work and then they take all the credit. No, actually, a lot of times, a lot of people go off to college and their career goes through the roof because of the fact that the structure that they had growing up was not the best structure. Kind of like the structure that I was trained in. Fortunately, I am incredibly hard-headed. I am so hard-headed. And on top of that, I'm the kind of person who is insanely persistent, right? And I've always been that kind of person. And the last thing, I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to be the kind of person that most of the shit that I did, I would do it out of spite. But that was just me trying to prove myself. I mean, my whole life, but whatever, that's what my therapist says, but I don't want to talk about that right now. We can talk about what my therapist says in another episode of the podcast. Anyways, because of all these kinds of things, there were a lot of people that I trained with that were honestly insanely talented, and on top of that, they were really great, they were really hard workers. So a lot of these people, if they would have gone on to college, they would have absolutely thrived. You know what I mean? They would have been in, like, not only great NCAA athletes, they would have probably done really great in elite. But he was the kind of person who would always, he knew how to kind of dig at people individually. Beep, boop. He knew how to, I guess, say specific things to certain people to get them to react the way that he wanted to. And then, so for a lot of us, he would always kind of touch on the whole loyalty thing. He would always be like, oh, like, you have to remain loyal to me. Your success will only be, your success will only be valid if you do it with me because I was your first coach. Which, by the way, I don't know if you remember what I said a few episodes ago, probably two, where he was talking about a different gymnast from a different country that came to train with us after never having trained with us before. He would do this, the thing that he would criticize college coaches of doing, of taking people that they already had the work done and then take the credit for what they do in the future. That was what he would do. He would literally take people from other countries that have had their whole life training with a specific way with a specific coach, doing great, and then all of a sudden he would take them and take them to like one or two competitions. Maybe he'll teach them like one or two skills, which, by the way, I would be the one to help out these other people. So he was that kind of person. Like there was like a lot of times, I swear to God, a lot of these people, they would come in and they would like try and do something, and the kind of technique that Ying would tell them to do was not good. And this, not gonna lie, this happened more so towards the end, where he would tell them something and be like, oh, like you have to do this to do this, and I would be like, that's not how physics works. So instead, I would go up and be like, hey, by the way, don't do that. Don't do what he said at all. Do this instead. But again, so everything, here we go. Everything that he would do to us growing up, that he would say and he would criticize, he would just do. You know what I mean? He was projecting insanely, like so much. Like there were so many people. There was really only one guy that trained with us. There was only one guy that went off to compete for college, that he like grew up with us and like trained with us for like forever, and then he went off to college, and his name was Max Mayer. And Max, by the way, was the kind of person that, specifically Max, Ying would always try and use Max as like the focal point for like, see, everybody has to work as hard as him and nobody's working as hard as Max, which, by the way, was absolute garbage because we literally all worked exactly the same. The thing was that like Max was like a little smaller and he was like a little younger than everybody, and so he would always like try and like pit us against Max. And by the way, it kind of got to the point where a lot of us, because we're all young, we were only listening to like, oh, Max, and then Max. We all like kind of hated Max at a certain point. And then like years later when Max was like older and we all figured out, we were like, oh, wait, we don't hate Max. We hate you. But anyways, what I was saying about Max, he went off to college and he tried to compete, but guess what happened? Because Ying overworked him so much, he literally had to have reconstructive surgery on both wrists. I think he got a shoulder surgery. He just destroyed. But he's about to be a doctor. I wonder if he's actually already a doctor. Max, if you're watching this, I hope you're doing good. I miss you, buddy. I love you, bro. We hated you for a bit, but I mean, you hated everybody too. We all hated each other, but it's okay. We're all like super tight now. But yeah, that's the kind of shit that we had to deal with, you know? Gross. Man. Yeah, dude. And unfortunately, we had two people. I talk about this with, he was like actually my first coach. When Ying opened up the gym and my mom started working there, you know, there was one guy who followed Ying throughout like all of the different gyms that he was working at when he was younger. His name was Chris Brand. He was like actually like my first coach for real when I was training. Like he was the kind of person that really got me to do all of the things that I was able to do. Like if I was unsure of something, like he would just be the kind of person to be like, yeah, no, you got it. Do it. Go for it. Why not? He and I always talk about all of the people that kind of their potential just went to shit because of all the manipulation that Ying would do. And he would make us believe that his way was the only way. Like his way was like, if you don't make it with him, you're not going to make it with anybody at all. Also, there's no other way to make it but with him. It kind of sucks because unfortunately, I actually was successful. Like if nobody would have been successful at all, like people would have caught on a little earlier, I think, and they would have been like, well, anyways, this video is already getting kind of long. And not only that, like I don't really care if it's long, but more than that, the battery of the camera is about to die because again, I'm not a terrible person. I'm just kind of, you know, not all there. And I forgot to charge the camera, so I'm going to end it here. I do want to talk way more about this, maybe on the next episode. We'll see. This week's episode is sponsored by, nothing yet, but hopefully soon. If there is any sponsors listening right now, please. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. and share and turn on that notification bell and other things that you're supposed to do for YouTube. If you see this on Twitter, retweet it. If you see it on the Instagrams, you give it a repost. But yeah, thanks again. I'm out.